I know Pluto is moving into Aquarius in, I think, 3 days' time. But what I think we all should do, instead of looking into the future and contemplating what Pluto and Aquarius is going to bring, I think we should now spend between 21st of January and 2nd of September some serious time contemplating what Pluto in Capricorn has been all about for us personally in our own lives, individually, right? What is the evolutionary arc that has happened over the last 15 years for us individually? So I'd love you to share your stories once you start doing this below for me in the comments. In this video, I want to offer you my thoughts, like what I think were the key themes that we were all working with, and then obviously, depending on where your Capricorn is, which house, that that will be modified by that, but it will still be along the lines of the key themes of Capricorn and Pluto in it. So the time between 21st of September, January and 2nd of September is important because that's when Pluto is in Aquarius, which gives us that bit of a respite. So we are not in the energies of Pluto in Capricorn, and it gives us that bit of a distance to be able to look back on the last 15 years of our lives. But it's still, relatively speaking, fresh, certainly the last few years, and they're even more important, well, depending on your personal transits and planets. But the last few years are even more important than the maybe earlier ones. And so it's fresh, and so it's still fresh, and but we're in Aquarius energies. So we're kind of not, it's like, when you're asked to do something, but someone's watching over you and you're kind of, now Pluto's not watching over us while we are contemplating it because it's in Aquarius, right? And then between 2nd of September and November 19, 2024, is when it's going to be going back into Capricorn for the last time in our lifetimes. That's the time when we should do two things. So during this time, in the run-up to the 2nd of September, we are contemplating what's been going on with us and Pluto in Capricorn, what were the lessons, what we have been learning. And so we're looking for two things. We're looking at what we have changed, how we have transformed and evolved in that area of our chart. And then use that last time Capricorn will be in Capricorn this coming autumn, to celebrate, to seal the deal. And also, while you're contemplating and reflecting and reviewing the Pluto in Capricorn transit, look for everything that you still need to work on. And so spend some time working on it, but also during the time of Pluto in Capricorn for the last time, maybe create some exercises or experiences or challenges or situations, like be the director of your own life and create scenarios where you're going to either be tested or put through the kind of extra, like a gym, like a good workout to complete some of the lessons that you feel are really important, but you still need to work on a little bit. So you see, this is the beauty of astrology and transits. Like, we're working what's already out there, but we're jumping on the wave as it's happening, as opposed to we're not too late. Which is why I started the video by saying, please, we have many years to look into Pluto and Aquarius and prepare ourselves for it. But this is the only window that's so good, like the freshest and the closest and alive period of time to be looking at Pluto in Capricorn transit. Okay, so with that said, hopefully you're on board with me. And this video, today I'm going to be talking about Pluto in Capricorn in general, just the themes that I think we've all been working with. But then next week I'll be looking at specifically transits that are key milestones that we all had. Again, depending on where it is in our chart, there'll be a difference, but the themes of those transits will be general and universal. So I'll be sharing them to help you figure out your own journey with them. So that's next week, the transits of the last 15 years that are not all transits, but the key transits that are relevant for this Pluto in Capricorn period. And then the week after that, I'll be looking at the last, so this transition, which is so critical and important between Capricorn and Aquarius, because that's where literally it's like where we are either made or broken. What's the expression? It makes you or breaks you, right? Yeah, you get what I mean. It's like so important. It's critical that how well we transition from Capricorn to Aquarius. It really is the deal breaker for us, for our evolution in this particular lifetime, right? And so that will be, and that's I think what, third video from today, and then there will be a video on Pluto in Aquarius. Like, not sure how I'm gonna do it yet, but there's a month, you know, at least till I get to that point. So yeah, so keep an eye on this, like a series of Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius. Okay, so this week, general themes. So first I want to just say a few words about Pluto in just Pluto, wherever Pluto's transited, what's essentially happening. I have some Pluto in, just working with Pluto videos couple of months ago maybe. Make sure you get them as well and watch them. They're really good. But I'll touch on some of, I'll just kind of briefly summarize some of these points. So wherever Pluto goes, transits, right? What it's doing, it's excavating everything there is to that archetype, in this case Capricorn. So Pluto is the archetype of truth, and truth is the totality of something, right? So it's in that sense truth. So it's if we say we are sweet and lovely, and that's where we finished our definition of who we are, then we are not being truthful. We are that, but we are also so many other things. So that is the Plutonic truth. It's and we are so many things, right? And so when Pluto transits part of our chart, in this case Capricorn, it will be showing us all that we are in terms of Capricorn, that we have not yet owned, or we have not understood clearly, or we have malfunctioned, we have abused, misused, wasted, not done well, not known, right? So it's going to be making us aware of all there is about Capricorn in our chart, and it will be, we'll have some planets there, or maybe not. In any case, whatever we have in Capricorn, it's going to be up for facing. We'll have to be facing, and more often than not, this is not pleasant. It's difficult. Pluto is meant to. That's what I meant. With truth being the totality of being, whoever you are, right? The totality of you. Pluto shows us where we haven't yet owned parts of ourselves, right? And so we don't own those parts of ourselves because they're not palatable to the world, to our loved ones or whoever, right? Or, ourselves even, right? So that's the difficulty with Pluto. But what to remember with Pluto each time when we are facing something difficult, that it is our soul's desire. So Pluto is the soul. It's like our unconscious ego. Our conscious ego is our sun, our moon, all the other stuff that we are okay to admit, right? That's our conscious ego. And then we have this story around, and it's, we have our reasons why we are this and that. That's all conscious ego. All that we are not that keen on sharing or acknowledging or facing or even contemplating that we possibly can be is the unconscious ego, which is a soul. And I'll be talking about that in a few months more, like my beliefs and kind of some sort of belief postulates, like a model of not just astrology, but my cosmos, my cosmology, right? So soul in my world is ego still, but ego is wonderful. It's all there is, really. Well, no, it's not all there is, of course, but so I don't want to go there now. But my point being is that it's that unconscious ego, i.e. our soul, is essentially all our desires, or rather our unconscious desires. So we have our conscious desire, but we also have these unconscious desires. And I love how when we speak of Pluto, we use the word soul, because there is something romantic about the soul, and therefore it kind of primes us and for this acceptance and acknowledgement that this soul ultimately is beautiful, and it brings parts of ourselves to our awareness that are rooted in desire to experience what it's like to be a certain way, to be crooked, to be unsuccessful, to be a failure, to be devilish, to be addicted, to be whatever, right? Whatever those bad traits of Pluto are, Pluto in Capricorn in particular. So that's what Pluto does wherever he is. And now in Capricorn, I want to talk about some key kind of Capricorn themes and then integrate the two. So some of the key themes of Capricorn are ambition, status, success, authority, tradition, reputation. Hold on, let me just get my notes correctly. Establishment, control, So these are all, these are these are key, some of the key themes of Capricorn. So when Pluto is going through Capricorn, we are really digging and peeling the layers of all the pleasantries and all the acceptability and around these themes, and we are now seeing them for the first time in the world, which is essentially, you know, parts of ourselves that we have just like gone, no, 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 that's not me. It's just the horrible people out there, right? And we certainly have, you know, plenty of examples in the world political scene of a world stage of, you know, horrors of Pluto in Capricorn. But I'm always on this channel interested in personal and individual. So we are all these themes of like one's ambition, one's desire to be authority, one's desire for success, for status, for good reputation, or, you know, just reputation in general. Like we are being shown what that's really about. Like, what's this for us? Like, so what may well be happening for many of you, for all of you, many of you, is that we success, ambition, status, sense of achievement, sense of accomplishment was actually eluding us, was not coming fast enough, was not coming soon enough, and that would suggest that we haven't looked and dug deep enough, and we haven't owned our truth of why we want what we want, right? And what we really desire to do once we get what we want, right? So if we are held back in all of these, in accomplishing, in all these, like realizing these Capricorn themes, is because our motivation, we weren't honest with ourselves about our motivation. So what I believe, certainly from my experience and what I observed, we all have been facing this, like, we've been questioning what is success, what does it mean to have to be authentic, right? To be in integrity. So we've been possibly, and I've seen this in myself, but also in others, like stumbling there. So we were, how many, like the cancel culture is one kind of example. And I mean, I'd have to bring in the kind of bigger world stage to illustrate the ailments within the individual, right? That were brought on by Pluto in Capricorn. So the cancel culture is part of that, integrity lacking. But again, where is it lacking? In the group that's canceling or in the individual? And the answer, I don't have one. It would depend on the individual cases, case by case rather. But also, like, that's not the point. That's the kind of judgment of like the fact that we would be still using a judgment of that something is in integrity or it isn't, from like for me to say that for you are out of integrity, or something else outside of myself is out of integrity or in integrity, is misplaced judgment, because it's looking out and trying to decide and have power in that way, gain power or feel the sense of power, Pluto, right, over someone else. So you see, in that sense, it's wrong even to have the debate, in my view, or as I see Pluto in Capricorn view. But that's a debate. And we are seeing it. So that's me working. That's how I worked with Pluto in Capricorn. That's my conclusion. That, you know, although I would like to be on that side of the argument, rather I'm for that person, but not for the other person, there was something still nagging me about even having that debate, even being interested in deciding that on someone else, for someone else, about someone else, right? So you see what I mean? We're not given a free pass. And it could be literally an accomplishment, or just the sense of I'm free of that. I've done it. You know, I've decided, and it's out of my system. No, there was something still nagging at me to say that I haven't really looked close enough. It's still, I can smell the stink of it, right? The kind of the excavated, you know, rotten earth or something, right? Pluto. One of the other themes that we all have been wrestling with, in my opinion, is belonging. And so belonging is belonging within the society. But what we are asking, so we've been questioning, like, what does it mean to belong? And we certainly, I imagine many of us struggled with that, like to feel like we belong. But that is because Pluto has shown us that those structures, those societies, those worlds that we once, like 10 years ago, no, hold on, we said this was 15 years ago. No, let's say 20 years ago, depending on your age. But we actually felt, I know, certainly in my childhood, I felt very much like I belonged in the structure of the society I was born into. Now looking back, I'm like, blimey, but that's because the time has passed and I have and also Pluto in Capricorn has passed. So that's my point. Pluto in Capricorn excavates all that's wrong with the current structures, Capricorn, society, Capricorn, businesses, Capricorn, countries, Capricorn, governments, Capricorn, establishment, Capricorn, right? So all that's wrong. So all of a sudden that we are meant to belong in our 10th and 11th house, well, we're meant to belong, full stop, but that's at that point we really are finding at the last quadrant, like Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, we are, particularly Capricorn and Aquarius, this piece of belonging is essential to our journey through those two archetypes. But what's happening is that with Pluto in Capricorn, if Pluto wasn't in Capricorn, like I say, we would have probably, and we didn't, feel like we didn't belong en masse, generally speaking, societies, groups of people, like many of us, right? 100,000, millions or whatever. I think the belonging piece would have been like, yeah, of course I belong to this country and I feel comfortable belonging, because we wouldn't have seen all that ugliness, all that wrongness, all that badness, right, that was within those structures. But now we have seen it. We don't feel like we belong, but we are seeking to belong because we do belong. We need to belong. It's part of being human. So seeking it is not a problem. It's like Pluto in Capricorn is showing us that what we had so far doesn't make us feel belong, because it's not what we thought it was, right? Another piece I want to address before I kind of move to the polarity point. So with this, sorry, I can actually extend it by this. Self-integration within a societal structures as they are is still a piece of Capricorn. But so we established that what the societal structures that were there up until recently, right? Up now, right? Still are, sadly for many parts, in many ways. We are still looking to belong to a society in Capricorn, right? We are looking to belong to a world, to a culture, to a country, to a nation, to a government, to an establishment, right? We all are looking to belong to that in Capricorn. At that stage of our evolution, we are seeking to find the belonging. So the question has been, so this is what I know for a fact, being online, living online, not for all 15 years. No. Well, yeah, actually, yeah. Anyway, I know this has been the journey. This has been this holy grail. Like, how do we belong? How do we integrate into the world? How do we feel like we belong? We are part of something bigger than us, but we actually feel that, as opposed to we force ourselves just because it's safer, right? So we struggled with that, and we may have stayed, in certain cultures and countries and societies and, establishments, whatever, because out of fear, but we knew we didn't belong. We had that real conflict because Pluto in Capricorn was showing us that there is conflict, right? So what we've been moving towards is progressive socialization, which means this is now the polarity point. So the problem with Pluto, with Capricorn, and Pluto was showing us that this reliance on these external structures, on what we have built, and now has become the holy grail, that whatever we have built, which is outside of us, right? We have built a world, we have built a country, we have built a business, a corporation, whatever, right? And so this is what Capricorn does. This is when the light turns into shadow, because we overstay our welcome. It's past its sell by date. But because it's a form, it's 3D. It's very hard to. That's why Capricorn is the devil, and in terms of the tarot cards, because the form is the addiction, meaning it is the addiction because we're addicted to the sense of safety and like anchor, but also it's the addiction in the sense that it's so hard to peel ourselves away, because it's the hardest thing. It's literally hard matter, right? Literally like the building of a new business or the corporation, but also the structures of the management and the employees, let's say, I'm sticking with that, or any other kind of like structure, right? So it's so much harder to peel away. But that's always going to be Capricorn. So the point isn't to negate and destroy the structure. The point is to work with the structure more healthily. So that's where we bring in Cancer. So what we want the structure. We will always want the structure. For as long as we're 3D bodies, we will always want the structure. But what we want is to be the Cancer within the structure. We want to be soft and gooey and happy and just like, to live a life of our heart's desires. And that life includes doing the work of our heart's desires. So this is wherever I speak of astrology, as you know, I'm always talking, we have to always look at the opposite sign to understand the A sign, right? Without its opposite, we only have a half a picture. So somewhere in the middle is the truth of both. But the starting point will be oppositely different. So with Capricorn, it's all this external, we are too reliant on, and in Capricorn, that's all we know. We have forgotten Cancer because we have gone through 6 more stages of our evolution. And we get to Capricorn and we're just like so ingrained in this physical external structure, which also includes external validation, metaphorically and literally, of our worth, our status, our reputation, our, all of that success, right? But Cancer is now asking us to stay there, but be Cancer, like I say, to be how can I be happy within that structure? What work can I do that is going to be so fulfilling for me? It's going to make me happy, but it's actually helpful for the structure too. So with Capricorn and Cancer axis, we're working with we want to identify, it has to be utilitarian. That's Capricorn. So Capricorn is always going to be utilitarian. So that's not wrong in itself. As long as we bring our Cancer to that utilitarianism. So we are identifying what's needed by the world, by the establishment, by our customers, if it's a business, by our family, or neighbors or whatever, right? So these externals, but we bring in our happiness. So we establish what's needed, but we can only provide the service to cater for those needs that is actually making us happy, right? So that's how we bring Cancer. So how has that been playing out during this last 15 years? So I imagine, and particularly during Cancer season, I imagine this was really flared up, is our family dynamics. I know for a fact that so many of us have been working with that big time, my friends or acquaintances and, just generally people. And because what Pluto in Capricorn was showing us is all that our internal insecurity regarding our right to take ownership of our life, to be the authority, the only authority on our life, to be the author of our life or our destiny, to be the master of our destiny, right? So Pluto in Capricorn has highlighted our weakness in our Cancer chart, the weakness of our Cancer area. And so the familial dynamics, the relationships with our family or with our caretakers, whatever that is for you, right? We're always highlighting how that dependence is undermining us, how that dependence on them, on the caretakers, is undermining our stature in the world, our work, our success, our progress in terms of our careers, let's say, and so how those family dynamics have been eroding, but the key here is to understand that Pluto was showing us another dependence. So even though Cancer is family, still that's a shadow of Cancer to be dependent on the family beyond the normal, levels of whatever, right? You have your people, children, or you have your parents who you need to take care of to a point, but that's the piece, to a point. It's finding that point where you're doing the work that you should be doing. It's right for you. It's for your soul, for your heart. It's right to be doing that work for someone else, i.e. your family, let's say, members. But you're not overstepping and overstretching yourself, because you always put yourself first. You always put the mask with the oxygen on before you put it on your children or your elderly parents, right? So it's like never forgetting that you come first. So the Cancer piece of your chart is always during this Pluto in transit, Pluto in Capricorn transit has been showing you how much you are probably not able to rely on your own, to be your own parent, to be your own like support network, your own family. So this axis has been highlighting how emotionally immature we probably all have been. And so one of the key journeys with Pluto in Capricorn has been emotional maturity, which is in all the themes of Capricorn that I mentioned earlier, and all the problems that we encounter achieving them or as realizing them or working with them, with these themes, Capricorn themes, boil down to the lack of emotional maturity, or down to emotional immaturity, which is the Cancer piece, right? And another interesting thing that I've noticed, in the world, observing and my own experience, is how with all these Capricorn themes, we are feeling guilty. There is a real sense of guilt, like, oh, I can't possibly be the author of my life. I can't possibly be successful. What are they going to think? I can't, I can't, author my life. I can't, become, let's just keep it successful. That's the easiest. That's a catch-all phrase, right? There is a guilt associated with success. So Pluto in Capricorn has brought that up to the surface as well. And so I think what we have found is that the moment we are pampering to the trends, temporary trends, and we are catering to them, right? So although I was talking earlier about the needs of the society, so yes, we are, so you might be arguing, well, those were the needs of the society, so my world or whatever, my platform, whatever your Capricorn area of life is, your world that you are building, yes, those may have been the needs kind of trends-wise, like when something is a trend, it's like the majority are jumping on it, or majority, it's like the rule of majority, right? Or it's becoming a majority. And so by jumping on those trends, we are essentially, it's very specific to that time. And so we are either finding ourselves chopping and changing, and therefore not being able to establish a good reputation, because we're chopping and changing, or to be building because we are chopping and changing. Or what we are building, we are maybe sticking to the trend. Maybe the trend is long enough, but we're not seeing growth or success soon enough, right? So in all those three instances, it's because whatever the trend is wasn't really our own. It didn't make us happy, right? It wasn't coming from our heart. The solution, we may have the skills, kind of logical, mental, practical skills to solve the problem, to cater to those needs, but our heart wasn't in it. So there's that. But there is another thing that I noticed, and it's sort of, I don't know if they're really the same, like two sides of the same coin. I might conclude that or answer that question at the end of this video myself, or maybe you can help me. But the other piece is the timelessness. I think it kind of is the kind of digging deeper into this happiness piece. So the guilt that we have about being successful is not just because we are not happy, so we know we are doing it for them, so we are really possibly even resentful, or however we are portraying ourselves, it's not honest, it's not fully honest, right? But when I say honest, I mean relevant honesty, not just any honesty, like relevant to that, experience that you're giving to a customer. Let's say I'm sticking with the business now. So there is guilt to do with that. But the other guilt, I think it's rooted in this transient, like that it's just of that moment. It's like a fashion, like I say, there is another, not just a trend, there is another word, a whim of society. And so the guilt, because Capricorn is all about timelessness, like building something that is quality that will last over a longer period of time. So we need to tap into, or rather we're feeling guilty because we're not tapping to something deeper, something more lasting, something of a more timeless value, that it's, and by being that value, by being, if we were to tap into that and whatever service would come out of that, it would have carried that quality. It would be a quality versus quantity. So quantity in the case of pampering the whims or catering to the whims of the changing whims of the society and, you know, the world we're building in and their needs or whatever, right, is directly responsible for the lack of quality of what we are actually doing, right? Because either because we have to do it fast and quick and it's just like there's no depth to it, we haven't practiced it enough, we haven't lived it enough, not to mention if we're still with the first example, first explanation of not our heart is not in it. But even if our heart is in it and if we are just like doing it for that short period of time, even if that is 2 years, you know, in our, we're talking 15 years of Pluto in Capricorn, right? So 2 years compared to, I don't know, 5 years you stuck with it and still moved nowhere, right? Never had no success with it, is because ultimately it's still a short period of time for you to really create quality of that service that you're offering or whatever need you're meeting. But if we are tapping into something that it's not really solving something so transient and whimsical about the society we live in and whatever, then the quality is already in that timelessness. And so even 2 years will be enough for us to be good at it and provide quality, maybe even less than that. But it's like tapping into something that it's underneath of the superficial changes, because Capricorn wants us to give something of lasting value.